Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 22 of Stitching Between Pages. I'm Robin, and you can find me on Ravelry as halfpast92. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as medievalisting. We have a Ravelry group over at Stitching Between Pages podcast, and show notes for this and all previous episodes can be found at stitchingbetweenpages.blogspot.com. And I took a little while to upload the show notes or to put up the show notes from episode 21, but they are up now, so thank you for being patient with that, and hopefully it will not take me quite as long to get this week's show notes up. Oh, hello, Holly. This is one of my two cats, Holly, who appeared quite a bit on the last episode and seems to be eager to continue her YouTube stardom. So anyways, today is Saturday, but I will be uploading this episode on Sunday, January 24th. And I'm wearing, besides now cat hair, I am wearing, this is my Pebble Beach shawlette. I knit it before Helen of Curious Handmade released other sizes, so this is the original size, which I think is now the smallest size. And I knit it out of some Knit Picks Hawthorn fingering. I'm not going to remember the colorway name, but I really like it. I wore it yesterday and I'm wearing it again today. So anyways, it's been really cold here the past few days. And if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a photo yesterday. I can see Lake Michigan from my apartment and it has frozen. You can see way out, it's not frozen, but close to the shore it is. There's ice over the whole lake, which is pretty amazing. So that's the first time there's been ice on it a few other points this winter, but this is the first time it's really frozen, because we've had, I think now, well over a week of actual winter temperatures below freezing. And last weekend there were wind chills that were quite unpleasant. I'd forgotten how unpleasant -20 wind chills feel. You can't feel your face, and so I stayed inside. Although that said, I don't actually have a whole lot of knitting to show you guys this episode. But I do have a surprising number of acquisitions. So hopefully that will make up for it and balance it out. I also have a book to talk about, which was not the book that I'd been planning to talk about, and I will explain a little bit more about that when I get to that point. Holly, what are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? I'm just going to keep holding you. Okay. So I'm going to try to show you one-handed the knitting that I've done. I have 1.5 finished objects, which I'm going to guess are not going to be a surprise. The first finished object is, it's really hard to show off finished objects one-handed. Sit down, Holly. Oh, no, we're jumping down. Okay, so now I have both hands. So this is my upstairs, downstairs cowl, which I knit for our post-Christmas blues knit-along, which is happening in the Ravelry group. And there's so much wonderful chatter and so much wonderful inspiration, and so thank you all for that. And you still have another month. It's going through February. So if you are still knitting blue things, continue knitting blue things. If you haven't started knitting a blue thing, you can start knitting a blue thing now. And if you have any questions about the knit-along, feel free to get in touch. Anyways, this is a pattern by Paula Fusley-Emmons, who a viewer of the podcast pointed out has the Knitting Pipeline podcast, which I had definitely heard of. It's an audio podcast, I believe. I am not a regular listener. It's everything I can do to keep up with the podcasts that I already watch. So unfortunately, I'm trying to prevent myself from getting into new podcasts at the moment. But it's definitely one that I've heard of, and I know it's been around for a while. But anyways, I haven't blocked it yet. I also haven't worn it. But it was such a fun knit, and I love the yarn. I knit it out of Mrs. Crosby Sport Weight, which I think is Hatbox, in the French chambray colorway, and it has some silk in it. I don't know if you can tell how shiny it is on the camera. You probably can't, but it has a beautiful shine to it. It's really pretty. So I'm definitely going to block it. I think the lace would benefit from a quick wash, and I won't pin it out. I'll just, lay it flat. But I wanted to show it off anyways because it is finished, and I really love it. So I think I will be starting something else blue within the next few days. I have some blue sock yarns, or mostly predominantly blue sock yarns. So I think I might cast on another pair of socks because with the cold temperatures, I have worn all of my hand knit socks need washing. I wore my last pair yesterday, and hand knit socks are just so wonderful. So I think I'm going to cast on another pair of socks soon. But speaking of socks, my half finished object is in fact a sock. And again, this is no surprise. So these are my Christmas Eve cast on, and depending on how speedily I knit, I may be able to enter them into the Bakery Bears Cozy Toesies knit along, which I intended to do, but sort of got distracted knitting on other things. And I'm not that great with knitting deadlines, and I'm not that great at managing to finish things in time for the end of knit alongs. So, oh well. I'm really enjoying knitting these. They were my Christmas Eve cast on as well. And the yarn is Night Owl Fibers in her Peppermint Swirls colorway. And it is sparkly, you might be able to tell. Oh, Holly, you jumped down, and now you want back up, don't you? So anyways, I did a little picot cuff, which I really love. It's different, but it was easy, and it's just a little bit special. I'm gonna pick up the cat. Ugh! Come back. Okay. And I've posted a link in show notes from previous episodes to the tutorial that I used. Cat, where are you going? Come here, sit on my lap. Look, I'll sit cross-legged. Oh, okay, giant close-up of Holly. There you go, sit in my lap. That's better. And I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel out of Cascade Heritage sock yarn, which is what I've been using for a long time for contrast heels, just because I wanted the stripes to keep going, and since the yarn is wound into a ball, I couldn't pull from the other end. So that's the first one, and then immediately upon finishing the toe, I cast on for the second one. And I have not done a whole lot, but let's see, I'm trying to think, was it Thursday night? I think it was Thursday night that I finished and started, and on Thursday I did pretty much the picot cuff, and so then I knit the rest of what I've done so far yesterday. I don't know, don't think there's a whole lot else to say. I've been showing these for several episodes. Here's the little teeny tiny pumpkin progress keeper that I got with the yarn, which is lovely, if it would focus. Nope. Ugh, I think it's too small, and other things are more exciting to focus on. Anyways, it's a little pumpkin. Not seasonally appropriate, but still cute. It was seasonally appropriate when I received the yarn. And as a reminder, one of our prizes for the post-Christmas Blues Knit Along is a skein from Night Owl Fibers. So thank you so much again for that very kind donation. It's really great yarn. I'm really enjoying knitting with it, and I don't really want these socks to be over. I want them to be over because I want more hand knit socks, and I want to obviously to have more hand knit socks to wear. But I'm so enjoying knitting these that I just don't want them to finish. So I'm keeping them in, it's a project bag. I've just folded it over. But this is my project bag that the lovely Celine gave to me from Jibby Roo Sews, and they have also kindly donated a choice of a bag from their shop as a prize for the knit along. So mine has little forest animals and then this lovely cherry blossoms print on the inside. So I just folded it over so that I can use it sort of as a little bucket so that my yarn doesn't roll away while I'm knitting. And as ever, these are my Hiya Sharps US ones, which is 2.25 millimeter, which are my favorite sock knitting needles, which you have all seen. So if it doesn't focus, we won't be too sad. Oh well. Anyways, so that is my first work in progress. I have done a little bit more work on my doodler shawl, the Stephen West Mystery Knit-Along, but I decided not to bring it over to show you. I knit the fourth wedge, and I just have the one row left of it. So I have plenty of yarn, thank goodness. And then the bind off. So it really doesn't look all that different from when I showed it off last week. And I decided that there wasn't really any point in showing you the scrunched up thing. I'm hoping that I'll be able to finish it before next episode, so then I can show you the finished product, which I think will be much more exciting than looking at the basically the same scrunched up knitting that you saw last week. I also have not abandoned my featherweight cardigan. It's just kind of taking a rest. The lace weight 1x1 ribbing it's fine. It's not my favorite. I'm really excited to wear the finished product, but now is not the weather for wearing a lace weight cardigan. So I don't have that motivation. It's a springtime cardigan, and there is plenty of time before it will be spring. So yeah, I'm not in any great hurry to finish. But I also have not forgotten about it or abandoned it. I'm just drinking some Earl Grey, my usual standard Twinings Earl Grey. And I think I've shown this mug on the podcast before. I really love owls. This guy is my favorite. And this mug was a gift from friends who know how much I love owls. So, like I said, I think it's been on the podcast before, but I can't remember. So anyways, I have far more mugs than one person really needs. So I try to remember which ones I've shown and which ones I haven't. But anyway, so those are two works in progress that I have not forgotten about, have not abandoned, but just, have chosen not to show because there really has not been any sufficient exciting progress. So the other knitting work in progress that I have to show you is my Care League mitts by Isolde Teague, which I'm knitting out of Quince & Company Finch in the Bosque colorway. If we could focus, that would be great. Nope. There we go. So this is, I've made a little bit more progress, and I will admit, I tried to figure out how to do it on DPNs, and I'm certain that it is possible. I just couldn't make it work, and I decided that I would rather just cave and buy some circular needles in the right size for Magic Loop and enjoy the knitting rather than spend a long time frustrated trying to figure this out and then ultimately not enjoy my finished product because of that. So I have knit, I believe this is it's either the palm or the back of the hand. And I'm really not certain. I have a wonky stitch right there, and I think I'm going to do something clever with, like, when I sew in the ends to try to disguise that, because by the time I saw it, I was well past it. This is towards the beginning. I think I realized when I was like all the way down here, and I just didn't want to rip back. So it's a provisional cast on, and then I've picked up the stitches from the provisional cast on, and so I need to figure out what happens next, because what is this? So anyways, I'm still really enjoying these, but they do require, I don't know what it is that I just don't feel like spending lots of time looking at patterns these days. I mean, I guess it makes sense because being a student, all I do is read all day. And so when I'm not reading, when I'm taking a break from reading, I don't want to look at things. I don't want to look at words. I don't want to, knitting is kind of my time to relax and time to sort of let my brain percolate and not think too hard. So these are moving slowly, more slowly than perhaps they should. I was ambitious, and I thought that I was going to be able to show these off in the thread for January on the on Tilly Trout's podcast group, which is Trout Mail. So the hand warmers, January. And that clearly, that is not going to happen. I think I have a much better chance of finishing my socks by the end of the month. There's a whole week left of January than I do of finishing these, because this is the first one. So that, that's certainly not to say that I'm not enjoying it, because I definitely am. And I love Finch yarn. It's really, or Quince and Company yarn. This is the second project I've made out of Finch. The first one was far pre-podcast, several years pre-podcast, in fact. But anyways, here they are. Here's what is happening. I'm definitely enjoying. I think the construction is really clever, and having sort of, I actually read through the pattern before I started knitting it, and it is a really clever construction, and so I'm really enjoying that. But unfortunately, they don't get as much work as they might. The other thing I have to show you is that I have crocheted up several more blanket squares. We have a cattail. Yes. What? We have several more blanket squares, which I have not added to my blanket, but I had crocheted them up, so I did want to share them. The first bunch are from the minis that I got from Julie in the junk yarn swap a couple of months ago, and I've shown off several of them. That one, I think this one had been done. I think I was working on this one when I last talked about blanket squares. There's this one, which is one of my favorites, and which that's kind of more what the colors look like, even though it's not really in focus. It's focusing on my hands. Let's see here. I can't remember. I think I had this one done because this one kind of reminds me of like a beach. So the ones that I have finished since then are the last of the commercial, or I think this is actually an indie dyer yarn. She sent me and let me know what all of them were. I did not bring the tags over, so I don't remember. And I have a good bit left of each one. And then these last two are her hand spun, which is so special. And they have made beautiful squares. So there's one. And then this is the other one. And this hand spun was so beautiful. It's so fine and it's so even. And I just love the colors. It's clearly kind of stripy because it gets more pink here, and it's green, and then there's some yellow. But it's just really pretty. So those were so special to crochet up. I saved those for a little bit and just kind of admired them. And then the last three are from recently finished projects. So this is from this is Loft, Brooklyn Tweed Loft, from my Hermanus hat, which I have sent off to my friend, who, and I wish I'd sent it off last week, at the end of last week. I sent it off at the beginning of this week, because she lives in DC, and if you have not seen the East Coast, DC, Philadelphia, New York City, got slammed with snow yesterday, today, and I think it's supposed to continue into tomorrow. I think DC has almost 2 feet of snow, which is absolutely unheard of. Like, that does not happen. So everybody is everybody's stocked up, everybody is staying inside. The metro system shut down. I forget if it was Thursday evening or Friday morning that they announced that starting, I think, Friday late afternoon or early evening through the end of the weekend, trains and buses were just not running, which is smart. That is absolutely what they should have done, because there's so much snow, and DC does not handle snow well. They got about an inch of snow on Wednesday evening, and there was something like a 9-hour traffic jam on some of the major highways. So I'm a little bit sad that I'm not in DC, because they have gotten more snow with this single storm than I have seen all winter. We've had a little bit of snow a couple of days this week, so the grass is covered, but I want a good, proper snowstorm, and we really haven't had that yet this winter. I don't know. I like snow. I know I grew up in a snowy climate, and so I should be frustrated and annoyed, and snow should disrupt my routine, but I like snow. I think it's so pretty. Anyways, so I don't think she got her warm package. She does not watch the podcast, so I'm safe to say that I also decided to give her the um, Baker Street socks that I knit, the stripy Felici that I showed them a couple of podcasts ago as a finished object, and I said that I thought they were too big for me, and they were, and my friend's feet are a little bit bigger than mine, so I think they will fit her perfectly, and she is a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, so I know that she will enjoy and appreciate the fact that the color is called Baker Street. Although I forgot to mention that in my card to her, so I guess I will have to tell her. And speaking of, here is a square crocheted from that Baker Street Felici. I will probably crochet another one because obviously the stripes mean that there are several different. I can crochet another square and nobody except for me will know that they are from the same skein of yarn. And finally, I crocheted up my hat box yarn from the upstairs downstairs cowl. Even though it's a sport weight, there are several other sport weight squares in my blanket, and they all sort of work out in the end. So it's not that much different in size. Actually, it's barely different in size at all from my Baker Street square. So I might add those to my blanket tonight. Speaking of upstairs, downstairs, I will digress a little bit before I start talking about my frankly substantial pile of acquisitions. I used to watch Downton Abbey, and I kind of stopped for no specific reason. I was just had other things to do and kind of, stopped watching it when it was airing. And my mother insisted that I watch season 6. So if you're watching, Mom, thank you for insisting that I watch season 6 because I am back to being madly in love with the show. I watched I think episode 3 was the one that most recently, obviously it aired, in the lead up to Christmas in England, but it's just airing now over here. The first episode aired the first weekend of the new year. And so I think we're on episode 3. Episode 4 comes out, I guess, the day you see this, Sunday the 24th. But it's so lovely. It's so lovely. Upstairs, downstairs. That is what brought that little digression on. So, and even though I didn't watch, I think I missed seasons 4 and 5. I'm still following it with no trouble. So that is good. So now I will tell you about my acquisitions, and I will start off with the other half of my purchases from the yarn store in Texas that we went to over the holiday. It was actually in Fort Worth. So the first skein, since I think I showed this one inadvertently, you saw it, is this lovely skein of, it's sort of blues and browns. It's really pretty. Can focus. That would be cool. There we go. So it's really pretty. And it is Madeline Tosh DK Twist in the chicory colorway. I think that's right. Yep, chicory. So DK Twist is 100% superwash merino, and there's about 250 yards in this lovely. That's exactly what the color looks like. Happy days. So this, I think, is going to be mittens. I saw this and I thought to myself that this would make great mittens, since it's 100% superwash. Good for things that you wear on your hands. And currently, my go-to everyday mittens that I wear are fingering weight, but they're color work. So there's kind of 2 layers of fabric, the knitted fabric, and then all the floats on the back. And I feel like I need a new pair of mittens. Mix it up every now and again because I have several different hats that I wear on a regular basis, and I obviously have quite a substantial collection of scarves and shawls that I wear. So it'd be nice to be able to do the same thing, to mix up my choice of mittens. So I haven't decided what pattern yet. But oh, do I love this skein. It's really pretty. I love blues and browns together. I think they're such a great combination. The other two skeins that I have are really exciting because they are skein yarns, top draw sock. Yes, top draw sock, which I have heard many, many, many people discuss and love and be very excited about. And I had never had the chance to touch it in person. I had never been at a yarn store that stocked it. And obviously, it's their Skein is an Australian company, so shipping from the US to order from their website is a little bit exorbitant. So I am excited to have not one, but two skeins all to myself. So also, there's a typo on the tag. It has to be 85% merino, 15% nylon, because 85 and 5 is 90, and you need 100%. So unless it's like 10% magic or something, I don't know. They're really soft, so it could be 10% magic. But top draw sock is 437 yards in 95 grams, so it's a fine fingering weight. And this color is called Industrial Age. We were focused. We're not focused anymore. Why did we stop focusing? This is Industrial Age. And it is kind of actually similar. It's grays and this lovely bright shock of teal right here, and kind of a rusty reddish brown. And I want to knit socks out of this, but I also don't want to knit socks out of it because it is so soft. So I'm not sure. These are going to sit in my stash for a while because they're pretty special. So yeah. So that's that one. And the other skein from Skein, I am so funny, is Silva, the Silva colorway. There we go. And it's similar, but not the same. It is also mostly grays, but with kind of this lovely periwinkle purple and some teal and a little bit of kind of orangey, yellowy. It's a little bit more subtle in person than it's showing out. The camera is picking it up as much brighter than it actually is. It's very subtle. So yes, I'm really excited about these to knit them up because they are super, super soft. So maybe one will be socks and one will be something else. That would be logical. So here they are again, next to each other. So you can see that they are not, in fact, the same. They are similar. I will grant you that, but they are not the same. So I'm really, really excited about those. That is everything that I got. Oh, hang on, we're all tangled. That is everything that I got at the yarn shop that now no longer exists. I'm so sad about that. And this next skein that I'm about to show you comes from a yarn shop that will shortly no longer exist. It's very sad. So it's a yarn shop that is within very brief walking distance of my apartment. I'd been there once before, and I walked past the other day, and they had a store for lease sign in their window. So they are, I think they've been there for like 5 years, so they're not a new business. But I think, I don't know. I don't know the full story behind why they're closing at the end of the month. But I went in to buy the needles for my little fingerless mitts, my Care League mitts, and everything was 50% off. And I was sad that they were closing, so I bought a skein of yarn. And it's Misty Alpaca, which is another yarn that I have wanted to try for a while. And I think this will be socks. Misty Alpaca. And this is their hand paint sock yarn fingering, which is 50% alpaca, 30% merino, 10% silk, and 10% nylon. So there's a pretty good mix of very strong fibers, and it's also very soft and slightly fuzzy. Thank you, alpaca. But it's this color. It's kind of, there's a lot of colors in here, but they're all sort of subtle and they go together really well. There's some purple and some blue and some gray, kind of an olivey green at points. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell all of those colors from the camera, but the colorway is called Eiffel. So I presume Eiffel Tower. I can't imagine what else, you know, Gustave Eiffel. And they are, I think they're very Parisian colors. Kind of muted but colorful. So that is that. It's 100 grams and 437 yards. So yes, these will be socks. They show. I don't think any of those colors are this skein, but that is what it looks like when it's knit up. And I know Danny of Little Bobbins has knit a pair of socks out of Misty Alpaca. I think Kay of the Bakery Bears has also recently knit some socks out of Misty Alpaca. So yeah, this will definitely be socks. It's one of the contenders for my next pair of socks. And I'm actually sort of thinking about casting on a new pair of socks this evening. After I finish recording, I'm going to go to a coffee shop and do a bunch of reading and work. But then this evening, I think I might watch something and cast on some new socks, because I can totally have 2 pairs of socks going on at the same time. Why not? I have another set of DPNs in the right size, and I have a circular for Magic Loop. In fact, I think I have 2 circulars for Magic Loop, so I could, in theory, have 4 pairs of socks on the go. I don't think I could keep up with that. I don't think that is a good plan. But I can have 2 pairs of socks on the go. I can manage that. So the other acquisition, I was lucky, very, very lucky, to win Mina's The Knitting Expat podcast. She has 3,000 subscribers, and so she had a giveaway to celebrate. So congratulations, Mina, on 3,000 subscribers. That's really awesome. And her podcast, if you've not watched the Knitting Expat podcast, her podcast is really great. Highly recommend it. She is British, but she and her husband live in Bahrain with their 2 cats, who are, I can show you her cats, because, so I got the lovely, lovely giveaway package, and here are her 2 cats. I think Hugo is the one in the back, and this is Derek. That's Hugo. They are so cute. Look at them. They're Scottish fold cats. I tried to explain to Holly and her sister Vivi Grace that these were their Bahrain cat friends, and they were less than impressed about that. They were more interested in sniffing the yarn. So thank you so much, Mina. This was it was a really lovely, lovely package to receive, and a lovely, not a surprise, but it was still lovely to open it and to know that, you know, all this stuff is from Iceland. It's so cool. So the giveaway included 4 skeins of Let Lopi, which is the worsted weight yarn from Lopi. So I have this lovely blue and kind of a natural gray. And this is, I guess it's black, or really, really dark gray, like charcoal gray. And green. That is upside down. Guess it really doesn't matter. Green. So these are destined to become the Bauble hat. That's B-A-A-B-L-E. It was the free hat pattern, I'm sure you have seen it, that was released for Shetland Wool Week. And it's color work, and it has a little sheep on it. So they kind of sit on, like, you know, grass, and then sheep, and then sky. So I'm going to admire these for a little while, but then that is what they are going to become. And I believe Mina has the same 4 skeins and intends to also knit a bauble hat out of them. So that's a pattern that it's been on my radar since it came out, because it has been so popular. And I definitely really want to knit one, and now I have the supplies, the yarn that I need to do so. So that is super exciting, and even more exciting because it is actually yarn from Iceland. So that's pretty cool. It's, as you probably know, it's not the softest yarn, but it is definitely warm, and it's definitely not, you know, it's for a hat. So I'm not concerned about the slight scratchiness that comes with it. So that was one thing that was in this lovely package. I'm trying to figure out where to put it so that I don't knock balls of yarn off my desk. She also included these 4 lovely buttons that have a guy riding a reindeer. I hope it will focus because they're so cute. Focus. There's 4 of them. And all I can think is that these belong on some sort of like delightful vintage style sweater. So I don't have any idea what I will put them on, but I can't wait to put them on something because they're so much fun. But they're shank buttons. So there's buttons, and then there's this little teeny tiny sheep brooch. I wore him the day that I received the package, or the day that I picked up the package from my building office, because how cute is this little fellow? He is just too cute. And 3 or 4 people commented on my sheep brooch, but he's from Iceland Memories, and he is made out of Icelandic wool, which is really cool. So little sheep. Oh, I'll show him again because he is just adorable. Look at that. Oh, so cute. So cute. So I can tell that he will be worn often. Also included in that, I cannot believe I have not eaten this yet. I am saving it. I don't know what I'm saving it for. And I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying not to save things just for the sake of saving them, because, you know, you can, like, why do I need to wait for a sad day or a really happy day or, you know, whatever. But anyways, I've saved it to show you. It is Icelandic chocolate. Since 1933, Iceland has been making chocolate. That's pretty cool. So I'm really excited to enjoy this. Fascinating. Anyways, chocolate from Iceland, which is supposed to be delicious. Oh, crinkling. I'm sorry. I like crinkling. I know other people don't. This is a little bar of soap, which is in a little felted wool house. It's surrounded by felted wool, and it smells amazing. And when I opened up the package, the whole package smelled like this soap. It smells really good. So now that I have shown you, I can put it in my bathroom and use it because it is so cute and it smells amazing. So put it back in its little bag for now. Oh, more crinkling. And finally, Mina very thoughtfully included some little mini skeins for me. So here is all of them. And I haven't even taken them out and looked at them in detail yet, so I will do that right now, live on the podcast. So this one is Regia. Obviously, these are going to go into my blanket. I think I might make myself crochet in the squares that I have crocheted. I think those need to get crocheted into my blanket before I crochet more squares. This one is Dragonfly Fibers. It's Starry Night color. There we go. It's really pretty. It's grays and oranges and kind of a bluish. This one is, Knit Picks Felici. This is the fanciful colorway. This is the Wool Barn Strong Sock self-striping Wellington color. I love Wool Barn yarn. It's fabulous. And this is Regia. I love this one. It's so springy and cheerful. One of my other options for the pair of socks that I might cast on tonight, we'll see if that actually happens. Who knows? It may not. Is a Regia. They're just, I know it's, you know, it's commercially ironed, whatever, but they're just so strong and they make such wonderful socks. And the way that the colors change is always so lovely. It's fun to, you know, see what will happen next. Okay, it focused on it earlier. There we go. So that's that one. So those are lovely, and I'm very much looking forward to putting them into my blanket. So that's that. Somebody asked me, podcast viewer asked me, sent me a message on Ravelry, and I don't know if they want their Ravelry name shared, and frankly, I don't remember your Ravelry name. I am so sorry. I just forgot. I didn't look it up ahead of time because I do almost no preparation for these podcasts. I kind of sit down and talk, and when it's over, it's over, and there is not much planning that goes into these. I've just let out all of my secrets. Anyways, a viewer sent me a message and asked what pattern I used for my granny square blanket, and I will be totally honest that I do not use a pattern. There is no pattern for them. I was inspired by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast. She did a crochet granny square blanket out of sock yarn scraps. Several months ago now, she finished. I know she was working on it kind of in the spring, or started it kind of in the spring. So, if you have a look back through their past podcasts, you'll find it. But I crochet 4 rounds in the granny square pattern in a color, so in one of, in a mini skein or leftovers from a project of mine. And then I do 1 round in its Cascade Heritage sock. I think this is the snow colorway. It is not the white colorway. It's kind of the softer off-white color. If you go into a paint store, you will know how many different shades of white there in fact are. And so it's not the white, because it's kind of harsh. So I wanted something softer. And I join them as I go. And I don't want to try to explain it. I'll try. So you crochet either 2 sides or 3 sides, depending on how many sides you need to join. So if you're starting a new row, you only need to join 1 side of the square to the previously existing blanket. If you're continuing a row, there's 2 sides that are in common with what you've already done. And so you crochet up to that point, and then into each space between the little, hang on, I have a granny square I could show you. So basically, except it would have white border, there's each of these little spaces between your granny square, your little clusters of double crochet or treble crochet if you're in the UK. Obviously they would be white, but when you come to them, instead of doing a chain stitch like you normally would, you do kind of a slip stitch into the space on the other square. So if you're curious, Kay of the Bakery Bears did a tutorial showing that, and it was prior to their Patreon campaign, so you do not have to be a patron. It's just at the end of one of their past episodes, and I don't remember which one. But if you really can't find it, let me know and I'll have a look and see if I can find it for you. And then at the end, whenever I get to that point, that's a long way away. I only have about 100 squares, and each square is, as you know, relatively small. And I want a nice lap-sized blanket. I'm not looking to cover my bed, but a nice blanket to put. I would say to put over the back of the couch, but that's where the cats sleep. So near the couch, just as a cozy lap blanket. I will probably do some sort of border around the entire thing to finish it off. I don't know what yet. I'm not to that point. So, oops, just set my tea down rather hard. I believe that is all of the yarn stuff that I have for you this episode. But I do have a book, and it's not the book that I was going to talk about. But the book that I am going to talk about is Brooklyn by Colm Toybeen. I'm not sure how accents in Irish affect pronunciation. It's called Brooklyn. And so the book that I was going to talk about also, in fact, took place in New York City. But I met up with a friend yesterday for dinner, and we talked about Brooklyn. And I didn't realize it had been made into a film, which I guess is nominated for the Oscars in some category. I'm not sure. I didn't even know it was a movie. So there you go. The only movie I've seen recently is Star Wars, which was awesome. So you should, if you've not seen it, even if you don't think you're a Star Wars fan, you should go see it. It's really good. But I have not kept up with sort of the Oscar movies. I might watch the Oscars, but who knows? Who knows? Anyways, so I'm going to talk about Brooklyn. And I bought this novel I bought my copy a couple of years ago at the Newberry Library book sale. Newberry Library, for those of you who don't know, if you live in Chicago, you might know of it. If you don't, there is no reason that you would. They are an independent research library, so they have a very good genealogy collection. So if you are looking to research your family history, and your family has roots in Chicago, then they have all kinds of resources to help you out with that. They also have a very good collection of maps. They have lots of sort of American history collections. They have some medieval and Renaissance things. And they have small exhibits, and I guess it's technically anybody can go in and do research. You don't need to be an academic. You just need to give them, some form of ID and sign up for a reader's card. And they have small exhibits, and every summer in July, it's usually the third weekend of July, they have a used book sale. And most of the books, it's huge used book sale. Most of the books are $2 or less. This one was $2. And so if you're in Chicago at that time of year, definitely worth your time to check out. It is fabulous. And so this is one of the books that I got when we went a couple of years ago. And it is about Eilis, E-I-L-I-S, Eilis Lacey. And it's set in the 50s. So she's Irish. She grew up in Ireland. And she receives an offer from an Irish priest in Brooklyn to sponsor her. So she moves to America on her own. She moves to Brooklyn on her own, and leaves behind her mother and her sister. She gets work in a department store, and she falls in love with an Irish boy who loves the Dodgers and his big Italian family. And so this book, USA Today, the blurb on the cover, says a triumph, one of those magically quiet novels that sneak up on readers and capture their imaginations. And I think that is exactly right. There's no big dramatic plot to Brooklyn. There's no life-changing events definitely happen, but they're the kind of life-changing events that could happen to anybody, and happened to many people. And so I think sort of the beauty of this book is in the author's way with the language is very simple. This is not like a fancy, but he's so good at painting his characters and pictures with words. So I definitely recommend this. It's not a very long book. I read it in a couple of nights. This was, obviously I read this, I guess last summer? No, 2 summers ago. Must have been 2 summers ago. I was house sitting at the time, and that was not last summer. That was 2 summers ago. So summer of 2014. And back when I had time to read for fun. But I highly recommend this. I really, really enjoyed it. And Colm Tóibín has also written, I think his most well-known book, which I actually have not read, is The Master, which is about James Joyce. But he's also written a collection of short stories and some other novels, as well as nonfiction. And he is himself very Irish, as you can probably tell from the name. So this is good. And I will talk about the book that I was going to talk about this week next time, if hopefully I remember. But I think I will, because number one, it's sitting right next to Brooklyn on my bookshelf. And number two, I decided over a week ago that was the book that I was going to talk about. And then my plans got disrupted. So I should remember what it was that I was going to talk about. So anyways, afternoon is kind of getting on and I need to get some work done. I'm going to go to a coffee shop that is a little bit further away from me. My favorite coffee shop is very close to where I live, but it's very, very popular and it's always crowded. I don't think, usually I can find somewhere to sit, but I don't think I've ever had a selection of tables to choose from. It is always busy. Although that said, I did walk past before 9 a.m. a couple of times, and there is a selection of tables then. So unfortunately on the weekends I am not leaving my apartment before 9 a.m. to get a table at a coffee shop. But I recently, on a recommendation from a friend, discovered a coffee shop. It's a little bit further of a walk, but sometimes that's nice. Walking is good. And it's not too cold out today. It's below freezing, but it's not much below freezing. So it's a little bit of a walk, but they have really lovely baked goods, and the coffee that I had last time I went, the only time I went last weekend, was fabulous. I had a really good latte. So I think that I'm going to go there. And it was, it was a good level of busy. There were other people there. There were people there working. But it wasn't so busy as to be overwhelming, which is nice. So I think I'm going to head there and then perhaps cast on a new sock this evening, or work on my current socks. We shall see. So anyways, come on over to the group and say hello and introduce yourself if you haven't already. The chatter thread for the Post-Christmas Blues knit-along is so inspiring, so check that out. And if you have not yet cast on, it is not too late. You didn't have to cast on January 1st. So long as it's something that you cast on after January 1st, you're fine. And there is still over a month. It's running through the end of February. And don't forget that I'm drawing prizes from the show off thread. So you should go and enter a photo of your work in progress or finished object. One post per project, but you can update it as many times as you like, to show your progress. And so that you have to be a member of the group to be eligible for a prize as well. So we have 2 skeins of yarn, a bag from the Jibby Russo's Etsy shop, and a pattern. Oh goodness, hang on, I'm going to look this up because I don't recall the name of the pattern. Bear with me. It was kindly donated by Regina of the Herbstblatt Regina podcast, which I have seen several episodes of and which is lovely. She is in Germany. And I cannot for the life of me recall the name of your pattern, Regina. It's her Fall in Love Fingerless mitts. So it's her first published pattern, and she is also releasing a matching hat and cowl to go with the Fingerless mitts. So it's the Fall in Love collection. And she has kindly donated that whole set of patterns. So Fingerless mitts, hat, and cowl. They're cabled. They're really pretty. And she kindly donated a copy of all 3 of those, or is donating a copy of all 3 of those to a winner. So we now have 4 prizes. So thank you so much, Regina. That was very kind. And they're beautiful mitts. And so I'm really excited to see the hat and the cowl too, because I'm sure they will be equally lovely. So anyways, I think that is all I have for you. I hope that you all have a lovely couple of weeks until I next podcast. And just looking around to make sure I haven't forgotten anything, which I know I have not. So I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.